I'm very, very pleased to say that I'm talking to John Mylnczk from CEO and president of NAMM. John, it's 6 months since we did this last.
I can't believe it's been 6 months, and it's good to be on. And I can't believe it's December already.
I know it's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy.
Well,
So
not
the
only does
last,
time fly, but I live in California now. So as you can see, I haven't had a fall. The weather hasn't gotten cold. So my mind doesn't even realize there's a fall yet. So
no, if you fancy a bit of terrible weather, pop over for the weekend. We'll introduce you to a bit of get a bit of rain, get a bit of rain,
going to,
snow for you.
going to Chicago on Sunday. So I'll get my
Oh, that'll
fix.
do it. Um, so come on then. How's your first 6 months been? Because you were just at that threshold of starting last time we spoke. I think we spoke about your first 100 days and this, that, and the other, and your first 1,000 days and what have you. But what have you been getting up to?
Yeah. Yeah. First 100 days. I mean, a lot of it's the listen and learn tour is
Hmm.
what you have to do. I spent the first 2 months starting with this office. This team, had been through, 3 years of pandemic, and this team knew a lot. And so I gathered everything that this building had to offer. And then I left the building. And, I went out domestically, went to a lot of other shows that were starting to come back, did member visits in key areas, and then I traveled the world. The first trip, of course, to London and Europe, and then Brazil, China, Japan, meeting with members. Popped over to New York after that and met with members out there. I just got back from Nashville this week, meeting with members. And you talk to enough people, you really start to hear where we need to go. So I feel good about where we are. We've done a little restructure. NAMM now thinks trade show, member services, foundation. We can clearly define what we do. We support our members year round. We have a foundation that creates more music makers, and we have our trade show, and we have goals that encompass all of those at a higher level, and everything we do supports that. So I feel good, and now we're 5 weeks out from a NAMM show, and we're in a really good place.
Mm. Mm. And do you feel like, I mean, you said it, I remember you saying when we talked about the first 100 days, it was just going to be listen, learn. Is are you comfortable that that was the best use of those first 3 6 months?
It was because we had lots of ideas where we thought we need to go. Of course, I had lots of ideas of where I thought NAMM should go. But again, it allowed us to all reset and remember that we are an association for our members.
Mm.
And no matter what we think we should be doing, if it's not what our members want us to do, and so, validating ideas, which a lot of ideas were validated through that. But I can tell you there was some new things that came out of it. And some of the new things we will see at the NAMM show for sure.
And I was going to ask that because the and we talked about again this before. There was 7 8 months. You were already into prep for the January show when we literally had just wrapped on this year's show in May. Have you had chance then to get some of those things in because that was a really tight timeline?
It was, and actually we got a lot more than we expected in. So if we haven't got it in fully in 24, any half-baked ideas we had or aspirations, maybe we decided to, test. So 24, first and foremost, January 24 is the first show of the future of our industry. And I had the opening address of the show has been renamed Industry Insights. Don't worry, there'll still be mountains of bacon and powdered eggs and all of that good stuff. So the breakfast will still be served. But Industry Insights is our opportunity to say, after all the disruption, what do you need from NAMM is someone to bring the industry together, share information globally year round. It actually started with the report that was released about 3 weeks ago, the Industry Insights Global Report. That name is teasing the new brand of what we're going to announce at the NAMM show. So that's a big focus. We're going into the NAMM show with a new focus of what NAMM does for our industry and brands, and that we're using the NAMM show like our member companies do, where we have the January show that propels our business for the entire year. So what you'll see that's really interesting and what we put into place is from listening to members and understanding what does a brand need, right? Brands want to elevate their products. Yes, they want to launch products, but a product launch looks different these days than it did 20 years ago. So our focus immediately was our job is to elevate the global music products industry as high as possible for this week. So focusing on global media, focusing on big stories that elevate our industry, getting, CNN and MSNBC to come cover our opening address, having an entire global media day that to start the show. Those are the changes that allow people to come and realize that we are a massive industry, and getting every content creator, social influencer out there, and anyone that can elevate a brand, any gear review, product influencer, more artists. That's really important because brands want that exposure. Brands want to have that conversation. Retailers want to learn about that world and understand how retailers use social influencers and content creators in their business as well. So as we talk to the industry and we listen to how's your business, how do customers find you, we've come to the conclusion that our job as a trade show, as the industry's largest global trade show, right, is to bring together everyone who influences a purchase decision of a product, whether that's the brand, the manufacturer, the retailer, the distributor, the content creator, the artist, the educator, right? That influence is a complex matrix now. And our show needs to capture that and elevate it.
And I think as well, what you're just talking about, I mean, in the perfect world, it would all be interconnected. But in reality, what happens is you just need a lot of it to happen to create that noise. Because actually, to manage it to that extent is probably going to be the job of AI in the future, but isn't possibly something that we can do as mere mortals now. But to your point, it just needs to erupt. It needs to erupt in content and in noise and in exposure, just to push those stories out there, to push them as far as they can possibly travel.
Well, 100%, my friend. And you mentioned like AI and what we can do as mere mortals. We know, and I put this came out in the Industry Insights report. I realized after traveling that, we're not a show of 80,000 people. We are 81,000 person communities. And what a pro audio manufacturer in the commercial level needs, and what an instrument manufacturer needs, and a retail shop, and, and so that we all need something different. So, we have to move beyond, I met someone at a bar who knew someone who connected me with someone, and we were able to jam a meeting on Saturday, and now I have this life-changing opportunity, which is the NAMM show. How can we do that with rich data? So we're collecting a lot of data at the show, from the way people are registered, who they are. You'll notice when you register for the NAMM show that we're asking more questions to qualify who you are, because we want to know who connects with who. People will scan into different events, and what we can learn about those connections and what we can use in the future to, leverage coming to a NAMM show and be able to use the app to find your community quickly. We're doing more targeted networking events. We're doing more with how we can strategically connect people. And then what can we learn from what happens at the NAMM show when the industry gathers that we could give back to the industry year round? So anything we learn from all of our research is for our members. Just like my global travels was turned into a report that's like, here's what we learned. If it's useful, take a read. That's a first step in what we're doing with the NAMM show, what we're going to start doing with our year-round events. It's going to be a really, really exciting time.
And of course, everybody who comes, every one of those people who comes, brings their own audience. You don't think of it that way, but you meet somebody who's got a guitar channel, and it's well, what's the reach of that person? Who do they touch? Who and I think that's the bit that, if we can put a little bit of, I guess, not certainty, but a little bit of structure into that, which it sounds like exactly what you're doing, then those things do become powerful and something that could, the whole industry can leverage.
Exactly. I mean, you go to NAMM for the meetings and the connections that you need to make. You leave NAMM with the connections and meetings and opportunities that you didn't know existed before you came. And that's what we know happens. And anything we can do to leverage that and understand that and measure the health and future and opportunities of our industry through that, and serve that year round and keep that energy going for our members, that's what you're going to see. Registrations are, 29% up over April. And we have this interesting curve. When we opened registration, we were tracking over 50% over, 15, 14 weeks out. And then, of course, in the holidays, we see a dip, and now the curve is coming again. So we fully expect, 30% to go to 40 and 50. Hotel nights are coming. We can't stop selling exhibits. We've set a 24, 25, and 26 goal on the exhibit hall. We are going to hit our 25 goal in January.
And,
It's fast. Yeah. We are flying back.
and that's fantastic, because this was always the one that, we couldn't gauge really, I guess, or you couldn't gauge really exactly what was going to happen until we got back to the normal slot. So we got back to January, and then we've got something we can look at, because how do you measure a May show against a show that's never happened in May before? And it doesn't make any sense. One thing you mentioned then, I'm really, really interested in this, because we managed to get some time with the Department of Business and Trade when you came over. And one of the things certainly that came out of that meeting for me was about the fact that the music industry, instrument industry, is perhaps not as high up in government's understanding as maybe a songwriter or creator or somebody putting on an event. That actually we almost get left behind a little bit. We're like the poor relation. Did you feel the same thing when we had that conversation, that they didn't really see what we did and really get it?
That conversation alone with the ministry in the UK was so important for me, especially in that was 4 months on the job, right?
Yeah.
Back in September. That was just an aha moment for sure. Because out of that conversation, the way that we had to explain our industry a couple times until we started to see some light bulbs happen really helped. And I'll tell you, we did our NAMM Washington, D.C. fly-in November. And it helped us go into our Congress and explain, we changed, because of the learnings there, the way we talk about it. Yes, we're the music products industry, but we're not just, 19.5 billion in global product sales. We are a workforce of over 475,000 employees and over 15,000 member companies. And we talked about economic impact studies. So we brought in Americans for the Arts, who has an economic impact study that's actually all cultural events. So we're working with them now to think about how we could refine this for our industry. But they did a survey of all 50 states of the complete impact of any arts and culture events, including travel, tourism, restaurants, which was the highest expense. And they somehow got it up to $287 billion of economic impact of all in arts and cultural events. So now we think of ourselves as, yes, we're the products, but we're the products that drive all the economic impact of lessons and all of the influencers on YouTube and all of that world and all the recording industry and then all the live touring industry and then the city's economic impact of live touring when it comes to hotels and transportation and tourism. That's how we think about ourselves now. Like, yeah, we on paper might be a small piece, but we are a small fundamental cornerstone of a much larger structure. And so getting CNN, MSNBC to our show, getting, CEO of Harvey Mason of the Grammys to come and speak on a panel, and we're working to expand our reach, because we are the cornerstone of all music making. Our products are there recording the sounds and making the instruments. So we're hoping that NAMM, well, I won't hope so. We are making NAMM be that place where we're elevating that to the world.
And I think that's fantastic, because certainly that's something that when we had those meetings, that to me now seems to be one of the challenges. If we're going to unlock some of the potential we can get out of, say, government funding, or maybe getting more UK companies to be exhibiting at the show, and we need to unlock some help with that, then elevating what it is that we do and how important, how crucial, and what a linchpin it is going to be a big part of that. Just before I let you go, and thank you very much for giving us a bit of time to have a quick update. Plenty of time for people still to register. I mean, you said you've seen a spike back up in registrations. How the figures looking for people coming across from Europe, from the UK? Is it looking positive?
Yeah, so while we're up 28% in overall registrations, we're up 39% in international. We are seeing, Europe up. We're seeing Latin America, the two biggest growth areas. China's up. Japan is up as well. But as far as the ones that are up the most, I mean, a lot of European, and it's really exciting. In fact, we just added announcement here, a European reception and a Latin American reception. We looked at it. We're actually, so I think The European reception is happening, I think, either before or after the UK reception.
Just after the UK reception.
Right.
Just
Okay.
after,
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's been scheduled. But we looked at it. We have so many folks come and say we have to gather these communities. Again, we think of ourselves as, you know, a collection of important communities. So your international travel's up. We know that that's a major important benefit of what we do at NAMM. And so not only are we embracing that, but we're even now working to make sure we can be the gathering place for these communities. Always time to register, always time to come out to beautiful, sunny, warm Southern California in January. Um, and so we'd love to have everyone there.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time. Just to confirm for everybody who's watching this, because we haven't announced it yet, but we have confirmed it. So I think on the Thursday, 3 o'clock, we've got a reception for UK travelers, for UK MIA members. Details will follow, but if you're hearing this, just scroll it in your diary now. Put a big circle around 3 to 4 on that on the first show day. Come and see us. John, have a fantastic holiday season. Really great to see you. I mean, when I say great, it's not great to see you in a short sleeve t-shirt in 70 degrees, but looking forward to catching up when we get a chance in a few weeks' time.
Oh, it's always great to see you, and it's great to see you while being in a short sleeve t-shirt and 70
Yes.
degrees.
Yes. Thank you very much for that. You take care.